So we're here with Greg on the right and John on the left. And what we're going to do today, we're at the Mountain Springs Trailhead. And we're going to head up to that ridge above and take a left and head for Black Velvet Peak. Now, if you've ever climbed Black Velvet Peak or seen pictures of Black Velvet Peak, you usually see people hanging on ropes for dear life. And what we're going to do today is take the easy way up to Black Velvet Peak. At least that's what John tells me. He tells me it's all class 1. So anyway, like to ask Greg and John to tell us a little bit about their experience, why they're out here, and then maybe I'll ask John in a little bit to describe the route that we're going to take. Okay, Greg.
Well, originally I just started hiking because I couldn't run anymore. My legs just wouldn't let me run anymore, so I started hiking and did a lot of trail hikes, like in the Red Rock area, the main trails, and then some at Mount Charleston. And one day we were up there. I was up there with somebody else we used to go hiking with, and she tried to pick up on John, and then so we got we all got together after that and started hiking together. And then John made me into a scrambler, and now I can't get enough of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, for me, it was all about, I just wanted to start walking 10,000 steps a day, so I was walking all these trails that are flat in Henderson, and just meandering around, and then that kind of just elevated to, oh, hey, there's mountains over there, I might as well go try it. And I think we did maybe Craft Mountain, or I did Turtlehead Peak, and it was fun. And then I really started to like the climbing, got some hiking shoes, and that was the start of a new time in life, just to get out here and get after it.
Awesome. So tell us about the route we're going to take today.
Well, it's going to be mostly a hike, just a trail hike out and to the top of the ridge, and then we'll drop down, and once we get down to the sandstone, there'll be some, class 2, class 3. I told Dave the little unnerving parts will be class 1, but they're still, you got to get away from the look down. That's about it. We'll show you on the way.
Excellent. So we'll be hanging over eternity, you say?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Get the heart going.
Awesome. Let's get going. Okay, we're now on the ridge, the Rainbow Mountains Upper Crest Ridgeline, and we came up from Mountain Springs, and there is one of the markers that you want to look for is the communications tower down there. So from Mountain Springs, you head up to the communications tower, and then you find a little trail behind the tower that leads you up to the Rainbow Mountains Upper Crest Ridgeline, where we are. Beautiful view of Griffith Peak, Harris Mountain. And there's the Upper Crest Ridgeline. And then you can see there are a number of descent saddles that head to the peaks here. There's Windy Peak. And here are John and Greg, and they have been working with my psyche here by describing all the vertical things that they have climbed. And so they're filling my mind with those images, and by the time I get to Black Velvet Peak, they're saying it's easy, but now I don't believe them. Okay, so continuing on up. Okay, we're on the Upper Crest Ridgeline Trail, and we have our first view of Black Velvet Peak. I'll show you in a moment. There's Potosi, just to give you the lay of the land here. And then looking down, there's the town of Mountain Springs. There's the bluff I call Landmark Bluff. Provides a great landmark all along the Rainbow Mountains Upper Crest Ridgeline. And here's the Ridgeline Trail. And now, here is Black Velvet. It's not, you can't see the peak from here, but you see that sandstone that leads to the peak. There's a bulb in front of the peak, actually. And John's going to describe, if you could point out with your trekking poles, what we're looking at, John.
Yeah, I believe that up there is the high point of Black Velvet. And if you look down at this little pinnacle right here in the back, a little lower, I think it's called Raven's Rest. And people will use that sometimes to rappel down into Mud Springs Canyon, which is a canyon between Windy and Black Velvet.
Okay.
You can see the monument up there a little in the distance, and Hidden Peak right behind it there on the left. That could be a little thrown off. The back one could be monument hidden behind it, but I believe.
Okay, so that flat one is hidden.
Yeah, exactly.
And then monument would be to the right.
And then this is for sure Global Peak down here.
Okay, just a second. Let me get over there. Okay, and that's in that mud canyon?
Yeah, Mud Springs Canyon.
Mud Springs Canyon. Okay.
The one on the left is Global. The route takes you up on the right, a little bit on the right of the right one if you want to stay Class 3. If you want to go between them, there's a rope section of Class 4.
Okay.
Either way, you got to make your way to the left, which is the actual high point peak.
Okay, so you can already tell that the things that John is describing are a level or two beyond what I'm used to. But I guess the way to, if you have a desire to do this kind of hiking and scrambling, you get up to Class 3 and you're in the upper Class 3 area. The best thing is to work your way gradually. Just take some shorter, easier sections like I'm hoping that we do today. And then eventually work your way up. I think that's what John and Greg did originally, is you just start hiking and then you take something just a little more challenging and a little more challenging until you find yourself doing things that you never would have done at first, but they don't seem so frightening. Is that accurate?
Remember, nothing's easy at all. So out here, it's always the approaches are tough, and the climbs are, you got to want it. That's for sure.
Okay, here we are at another perspective on Black Velvet, and John's gonna describe what we're looking at here.
Okay, so on Black Velvet, once you get, we're gonna come down off the limestone peak up there, straight down the hill. Seems a little easier than traversing all the side hills just to get there. And then once we get to Black Velvet, our first objective is to get past this kind of first peak here. And then we're going to follow the ridge, get to the high point. And then
is that
should be Black Velvet peak, peeking out there on the left, behind and a little bit to the north of the high point.
Okay, so this high point is actually not Black Velvet Peak, but it looks like it's higher than Black Velvet Peak.
Yes.
Okay. So we are going to the high point and then beyond to the smaller, what looks smaller from here, and to what's actually Black Velvet Peak. to the left. Okay, and you were talking about some of the other features here. There's Mud Spring Canyon is between Black Velvet Peak and Windy Peak. Black Velvet Peak on the left, Windy Peak on the right, and then Global Peak down at the left base of Windy Peak. And you were looking at potential approaches to Black Velvet Peak. What'd you see up there?
Well, I mean, I think you can definitely go all the way up Mud Springs Canyon to the limestone and shoot up from behind, which isn't really the classic route, I guess, to Black Velvet Peak, which would be up Black Velvet, the South Fork of Black Velvet Canyon, on the other side where we can't see it right now.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, they'll come up, and then I think it's a really long hike, and then you go up the back, and then it's an actual loop where you go down towards the front of the mountain, go traverse across some, and then end up by what's called Whiskey Peak, and just kind of go down from there and find your car.
Okay, so the people that are using ropes and heading up the vertical sections, that's on the opposite side of what we're looking at now. They go up the vertical and then they come down, they descend this side.
I guess they either rappel, or if they go to the peak and they scramble down, they're always going to go off that front route that goes down to Whiskey Peak and then down to the parking lot.
Now, which is Whiskey Peak?
We can't see it right now. It's a little peak attached to the front of, it's on the northeast front of Black Velvet Mountain.
Does this little sandstone slab in the center have a name?
I know, I don't know if that's, there's one down there, it's called Raven's Rest. I don't know if that's it. From the other angle, I thought I knew what I was looking at. But yeah, that's some of these peaks at the back, and most of them have names, but I think some of them are just the whatever altitude is, you know, it would be like peak 6,000 or
okay,
59, 55, or I've heard that too. So
okay,
I look at the Nevada Peakery map, and they have a lot of good information on there if you're interested, just to kind of know, get your bearings.
okay. Well, let's continue on. Okay, here we are at Mountain Spring Summit. It's a high point on the Rainbow Mountains Upper Crest Ridgeline. And over here, we're looking at Hidden Peak. Yeah, we're looking at Hidden Peak and the Monument Peak area. And then panning over in this direction, straight down, we're looking at Black Velvet Peak, and this is the route we're going to take to get up to Black Velvet. And then over here is another great perspective on Windy Peak. And then at the base of Windy Peak is Global Peak. And John's going to describe that in just a moment, but I wanted to also pan over this direction, and there's Hollow Rock Peak. And you can see the Hollow Rock, the high point there. And then beyond that, hidden is South Peak. So, yeah, John, describe Global Peak again and how to get to Global Peak. Looks impossible.
So you got Windy up here, Global's below here. It's kind of, can't really see it as well from this angle, the actual peak itself. But basically this upper ridge line is going to take you to Windy Peak. There's a spot, one of these saddles, I'm not sure which one exactly, but you go down to the sandstone here. Then you're going to go up the south side of Mud Springs Canyon, basically on that ledge the whole way, all the way, go down, and then up to Global. And it's really fun.
Okay, so it's actually, you are ascending what looks like a gully with plants in it?
Correct.
Okay. And then Global would be on the left, and a peak that we do not know the name is on the right. Okay. Very good. And you ascended that from below, you're saying?
We did. We went from below. We just went to the top of Mud Springs Canyon and back.
Okay.
It was just a battle to get up there because we went the wrong way.
Okay.
You know, it's one of those. So we went back, and then we just finished the hike from behind. So basically, if you combine the two, then it's all one big hike. But it was actually nice to do from the limestone ridge. Just a fun day, and it was more of the enjoyable stuff.
And that's that gradual ridge that's heading down from this area. Okay, excellent. And do you see anything on Black Velvet Peak that gives us any more insight into where we are going to be?
Well, that was the high point we were looking at before.
Okay, the one on the right.
So we got to figure out our way past the first little peak there. There's a chimney area, if I remember correctly, and some fun stuff. And then it's a pretty easy walk to the second peak, and then you go drop down to the peak on the left, which is Black Velvet Peak. And I know there's another way to you can drop below and stand on top of the wall or something like that. We'll have to play that by ear. I'm not sure exactly
Okay.
how that works.
Okay, looking forward to it.
Yep.
Okay, we are descending now toward Black Velvet Peak, and John's going to describe the route. From here, I gotta say, it's looking pretty crazy, but John says it's easy. So John, go ahead and tell us about it.
Definitely never said it was easy.
Oh, now you tell me.
I said the scary parts are class 1 or so. So that's the good part.
Oh,
It definitely starts to look a little more convoluted here. Well, we're going to go down, get to the sandstone, and then just make our way, sneaking along. Luckily, you know, in some spots, you know, like there's a chimney climb. It's usually marked with a pile of rocks, Karen. And then we're just going to go and hit the high point and then drop down to the peak there. Now, I'm not 100% sure. That might be the top of Whiskey Peak down low. Below, or you know what? No, never mind. That's probably the top of Black Velvet Wall, which is a beautiful wall when seen from the other side. Now, you can't really tell, but that is the top of Burlap Buttress, which separates the north and south forks of Black Velvet Canyon.
okay.
A real long summit ridge. Greg and I scrambled up there from the North Fork on the other side of Black Velvet Canyon to the summit of Black Velvet Peak, which is a tough little peak. Let me tell you that. It doesn't look that tough, but it was. A lot of ticks in the canyon too.
Oh, wow.
And of course, from back to front, we've got Little Zion. Is going to be right on the other side of that hill. Then we got Hidden Peak, the big bulge right there. Then West Monument. There's a Center Monument Peak, which I'm not exactly sure how to get to. Below that, there's a Veterans Peak. And then there's East Monument, and then the little wedge, which we can't see right now, but on the front, it's very distinct. It's called East Monument. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not East Monument, East Peak.
Okay.
And that's a tough little scramble, too.
Now, define a scramble.
Anything where you're using your hands and feet to climb up stuff,
Okay.
I would say. Or I even think, you know, walking up steep slabs would be a scramble to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once you're off the trail, pretty much. I still consider this trail, even though we're not really on it's more of like a use trail, just made by hikers and erosion, I guess.
Okay.
But on the sandstone is where it starts to liven up.
Now, is the descent to that little forested area below us, it looks pretty steep from here. Is it as steep as it looks?
I think it was a year ago I did it. I would say it looks steep, and it is steep, but step for step, it's not that bad.
Okay.
You don't look too far ahead. That's one thing that helps.
Okay.
Just attack the problem at hand.
Just take, where's my next step going to be?
That's right.
And do I feel good right now?
Exactly.
Okay.
Be in the present.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Well, let's go. Okay. Here we are getting ready to head down. Little cairn ahead that lets us know that we are on the right route, but I don't know any other route we could take because steep drop off to the right and the left. But here we go, heading down to that sandstone area. Okay, we've been descending from Mountain Springs Summit up in that area, and wow, this descent isn't as bad as it looked from above, at least so far. And I'm hoping that the whole day works its way out that way. So here's a view of where we are now, heading down to little sandstone saddle, and we'll be leaving the, well, right here, actually. We're leaving the limestone and crossing over to the sandstone. That's the Keystone Thrust fault line, very famous, where the limestone, darker limestone that we're on, changes to sandstone, and then you've got the red rock, I mean not red rock, the Rainbow Mountains escarpment, which is the sandstone cliffs that you see. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to continue on down. So far so good, and then weave our way up to, let's get a shot of it, up to these summits that you see, one on the left and one on the right. So onward. What I love about this is as we descend and we get out in this little peninsula, and you can see each of the Rainbow Mountains has that kind of peninsula that descends from above. You can look at the mountain on either side and get a really good view, and just imagine what it would be like to climb that mountain and maybe check out a few different approaches that you couldn't see from another perspective. Now, here is Hidden Peak, and then Monument Peak, and backtracking a little to the left, there's a ridge here. Over that ridge is Little Zion. And Monument Peak is actually a series of peaks. And then here we have the direction we're headed. So far, so good. Okay, here we are on the sandstone slab. There is Mountain Springs Summit. And wow, it is cold today. It was not supposed to be this cold. Anyway, so beautiful down here. Just look at this. You couldn't design these configurations in 1,000 years. They're just unique. Nowhere else on earth are you going to see the exact design of these configurations. Here's John and Greg heading up the slab. Now let's look over the edge here. Yeah. Definitely an edge. Wow, look at this. Looking at Black Velvet Peak. Then over to Monument Peak and Hidden Peak. Another unique perspective. The canyon below. Just beautiful. Okay, let's continue on up. As we descend, here's Greg coming down. Little sandstone area. What do you call this, class 1 or class 2? Or class 3?
Class 2 probably.
Okay, class 2. I was hoping you'd say class 3, and it's the hardest thing we'll have today, but I've got to say, no, probably not going to be. Okay, yeah, so easy a child could do it. Okay, and this is what we're looking at ahead, which to me looks a little scary because I'm looking over to my right, but John says don't look too far ahead. So I'm going to take that advice.
Let me check it real quick and make sure before you guys waste time.
Okay, we're in a
Seems like there's a cairn, right?
little gully here, and we just came up this area. So definitely now we're into rock scrambling territory. Came down from above. So yeah, continuing onward.
Well, it's a little tight right here. Maybe you could have a few extra pounds or something.
What do you call this, a rabbit hole chimney? Yeah.
Yeah. Among other things. But take the pack off. I don't remember it being too bad.
Yeah, let's see if John makes it through, then
And you guys definitely can.
then at least it can be done.
Don't hit your head, you know?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, my pack's definitely coming off.
Yeah.
This little
Is John
squeeze.
with his pack on?
No.
I'm just holding it.
Oh.
His pack's off.
I think I can put it on right here. Kind of make my way.
That little rabbit hole chimney from above. And it actually wasn't bad. And I love that there was no exposure. So I don't mind that. And then here's John and Greg above. They have successfully done the rabbit hole. So tell me that's the most difficult part.
Rabbit hole.
Greg wants a carrot.
We get our rabbit hole card.
Sounds good. Famous rabbit hole. And step number 1 is find step number 1. Okay? Successful. Yes. And it's actually,
You make it look easy, man.
yeah. Wow. Black velvet is no problem so far. But something tells me we're not done yet. It's coming.
It's funny on the class 3 stuff when you have a wall or
I think it's still recording.
no exposure. It's more fun.
It's more fun when you have a wall and there's no exposure. Yes. When you have a wall and there is exposure, then yeah, it's a problem.
Exposure is class 1. Remember, that's what I tell you. Just remember, it's class 1. Don't worry about it.
I could do some of those higher classes where there's no exposure. But
the exposure is class 1. It's the fall that's class 5.
Yeah.
Here's a little Karen. Oh yeah.
Not the fall that hurts.
Little Karen letting us know that we are indeed on course, at least someone's course. Okay. Continuing upward, this delightful little climb. Okay, John is ahead, checking out the route to see which is the route we want to take.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I'll think we go up there.
so we're not going up that slab. Okay, that's good news.
So if we go up that way, we go around and around. Maybe the way, I'm not.
Okay. And looking around. Yes. It seems impossible, but we just came up this stretch. And it really wasn't too difficult. So I'm hoping that that'll be the case all along. Wow, what is holding this rock up? That's a big question. Okay. And there we are, Mountain Spring Summit. So you can see we are snailing our way along here and trying to figure out how to get to the next section. There's John running along the ledge there.
All right, guys, when you're going up steep slabs, you want to avoid this gray, I don't know what it's called exactly, lichen or lichen stuff, what I call it. And it's a little slippery. And a little patch of it's not a big deal, but if you start getting into steep slab and it's all over the place, you really need to be aware and feel it out before you test it at least.
I'm going to call it slippery slide.
Yeah, it's the gray is slippery. Sometimes the black, sometimes it's not all that slippery, but you better be sure.
Yeah, you don't want to find out, oh, I thought this wasn't slippery.
And then this is kind of smearing up using your shoes as sticky.
Okay.
You have to crawl on all fours.
Okay.
And it looks steep, but it's really not that bad. How do you feel
Okay, one level at a time. And onward we go. Okay, here's John explaining the next stretch.
Okay, so we're here at, I would say, probably the crux of the route. Basically, I have two options. You can get down climb to over there, where that you can see a big cairn there and up there. Okay, and now you got two options. You either take that ledge out there that looks like not much of a ledge. And with this wind, I wouldn't really suggest it.
Yeah.
That's one option.
Right up here.
Yeah, you see there's a little cairn in the middle of it, next to that little green plant.
Yeah, ooh.
Yeah, it looks sketchy, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I don't know if it's as bad as it looks from here. The other option is we climb up, and then we just kind of go down a gentle chute, and then we just walk around that corner right there, which is, there's got a good handhold. It's sticky, it's no problem, but it does look a little scary because there is massive exposure below.
Okay.
So basically, there, you see that cairn right there, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, so you get down to that one, then you don't drop down. You stay high, you just get on that slab, and there's an easy class 2 chute, and then we're traversing to the high point.
So what I hear you saying is that the most exposure is probably that ledge over there.
I don't know. I haven't done the ledge.
Hmm.
I didn't like the way it looked last time, so I don't really like it this time either.
Yeah, neither do I. So you're more for this Karen approach.
Yeah, they're both Karen. I mean, they're both definitely doable. Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily like when a wall is pushing me into the exposure.
Yeah.
Like even if there's no wall on either side, would actually feel better to me than one side.
Did we go up and then down, right?
Hide.
Didn't we go up some way and down?
Yeah, we go up right there, down, around.
Okay. Well.
And I could do it if you want to watch and see it.
Well, do the easy route. I will watch and let you know if I feel comfortable doing it. Otherwise, I'll wait here. Oh boy.
Pretty much up. There's a really good foothold here. Good, Greg. Coming straight up to me. Come up here. Get your right foot on that one, and then you're going to put your left foot on that big. See that big foothold there? There you go. So this corner, this is the part I was talking about. It's really not bad once you're here. Very sticky. You got handholds the whole time right here. I'm good. And it's the class 2 from here.
Yeah, this is that last stretch from above. Yeah, just delightful. And then around that corner. Okay. It's a nice little spot. I think I'll just stay here the rest of the day. So now we're going around another tight spot. Here we go. Okay, just came up this little crack. Not too bad. Circling around below this rock formation was a little hairy, but not as bad as the part I showed you a little earlier. And now John assures us that that was the most technical part. Is that true, John?
I believe that to be true with 100% of my one-time up here knowledge, but yeah.
Okay, you're just making me so confident. Okay, next stretch ahead. Then we're gonna head over. There's a cairn up here. Heading to that cairn. Now, tell me, is this up ahead, is this the summit?
That is the high point, but not the Black Velvet Peak.
Ah!
It's really just a walk up.
All good. Okay. So,
1.9%.
yeah, these guys.
I do remember it being like easier than it looked.
Okay, easier than it looks. Greg and John have been excellent teachers here, because I can guarantee you I would have not come here without that leadership. Okay. Yeah, looking over at Windy Peak there. Wow. Okay. And continuing around.
I was telling Dave that in South Red Rock, a little more so maybe than the north side, you got to make sure and test the rock a little. I mean, you got to test the rock wherever you are, but I find some little bigger breakier chunks scrambling out on here. Just depends though. Might have to do with sun exposure.
Okay, so the South Rainbow Mountains are a little more flaky than the Northern Rainbow Mountains, like Bridge Mountain.
Right, right.
Okay.
Yeah, that Bridge Dome is like all good rock.
Yeah, and you can see up ahead here the flakes.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to step on one of those. That would be a free ride all the way down to the bottom. One-way trip. Okay, continuing onward.
That's the good thing about when it's cloudy. I think it's pretty.
Yeah, I've heard that before. The clouds make it prettier, but also, yeah, I'm feeling a few drops, and wow, do not want to be on these sandstone slabs when they're wet. Okay, heading up to that first summit, which is not too far ahead. And all of this that we've been on, yeah, it's a slanted slab. There you can see it better, a slanted slab of sandstone. But one thing I gotta say is I have these rock climbing shoes. I call them my Spider-Man shoes. And boy, they really hold the rock and give you a sense of confidence. I haven't used them very much, but I'm quickly building a sense of confidence on these sandstone slabs. Okay, onward. I'm going to describe, John's going to describe where we are and where we're headed. We're at that first summit that we saw that was on the right when we saw two summits, and Black Velvet Peak is evidently right down here. So it looks like it's, wow, from here it looks like it's quite a cliff getting down there. What, tell us about it, John?
Well, Greg and I, the last time we did this, we went down to the end there, and I feel like we got on the wrong side, and we was late, and we just came back. So we didn't actually. We stopped somewhere up there. So we haven't gone. Yeah, we just went. I don't know. We did this ridge, and then went off to the right, and I was like, oh, this might be the descent route, and we got confused. It was late, and so we turned around and came back. So this time, we weren't really sure exactly which peak was which. We knew this was higher than that one, so but I know that's black velvet.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to say that we're at the summit here because it is visibly higher than this lame little bulb that we're calling Black Velvet Peak. So, yeah. And here's another view of what we just traversed.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking around here. Okay, here's the area we just traversed. And believe me, it was not that difficult as it looks, but looking at it, it's like you would be crazy to be here. Hidden Peak, Monument Peak, and then in the distance, Mount Wilson. And then over in this direction, the Mount Charleston Wilderness. And then there's the Rainbow Mountains Upper Crest Ridgeline. Good view of it from here. Potosi Mountain. Windy Peak. I don't know why they named that peak Windy Peak and this one is not, but there you have it. Okay, and there's Greg and John heading over to the high summit area.
That lower way might be where that cairn was. I don't know what that
Just came across this section and not too bad. Just don't look down. And now, John, what's going on next?
Well, got some cairns over here. This staying at the peak of the ridge is going to involve some, looks like some maybe class 4 or just dairy climb. But there are cairns down here taking us hopefully just around a little, and then we're going to shoot over to the north there and try and knock out Black Velvet Peak, which looks like a walk up once you get around this stuff.
Okay.
We're using our imaginations right now. Hoping for the best. Did you come down right here? No, down the
Okay, we just topped peak number 1 over here. This was the taller peak. And now we're looking for a way to get to Black Velvet Peak, which is below. And not certain yet. There's quite a little canyon between and looks pretty vertical, but maybe it's not going to be so vertical when we get over there. We don't know. We're going to find out. Okay, next stretch here is going between this height and the next, and it looked impossible, but as you look down from this angle, it does look very possible. We'll see. Okay, final approach to Black Velvet Peak. Now, I wasn't thinking I was going to actually make this, but thanks to some good guidance here, yeah, we will make it today. Oh, look at that line. You can see the line of the fault, the Keystone Thrust Fault between the lighter rock and the darker rock. The lighter sandstone and the darker limestone. Very evident from here. And we just descended from this higher peak, and now ascending to Black Velvet Peak. Very windy, as you can tell. Hope you can hear this. Yay, here we are on Black Velvet Peak. There's the climbing register. Yes. Let's get a 360. Wow. Look at this. There we're looking at, got to get a secure spot to stand here. The wind is just incredible. There's the higher peak. We were just there, came down, and then up to the official Black Velvet Peak. Rainbow Mountains, Upper Crest Ridgeline. Then over to the Hidden Peak area. Hidden Peak, Monument Peaks are down in this area. Hidden Peak is the highest point. Up there. Sorry if this is a little jerky, but I tell you, this wind could almost blow a person off the mountain. Let's zoom in on the Las Vegas Strip so you get your orientation here. Perspective. Yeah. Well, this peak was very doable. Of course, I had a lot of help, but it was not real difficult. Just take it one step at a time. Watch every foothold. But yeah, we came to this highest point ahead from descending from Mountain Spring Summit. So there's the route. And it is cold. I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts, so I'm going to have to call it a day for this video, at least until we get into warmer territory. But oh, wait a minute. Yeah, here's Blue Diamond Hill. Beautiful view of the hill. And you can see the southern canyons and ridges. Look down, and there's the mining road. We've been down there, and then the canyons. There are, I think, 5 or 6 canyons to the right of that mining road. This wind's going to blow the phone out of my hands. And there's one deep canyon to the left of the mining road. So yeah, Blue Diamond Hill. And Highway 159 is below. And so, yeah, okay, that's it. Anyway, we made it, Black Velvet Peak. On our way back. And just to look back here, nice little cairn, and there's Black Velvet Peak. we were just there. So now we're heading for the higher peak. And here we go. Okay, going down the little chimney. There it is, that crack. Straight down, and take your backpack off because it is not going to fit with you. There goes John down the crack. Greg is next. And if all goes well, I will follow. If it doesn't, I will spend the rest of my life in this spot.
Go a little farther, and then I'll hand it to you when you get here. Like I just
It's funny how people just disappear into this crack and you don't know where they ended up. It's just like they're gone. There goes Greg. Wow, that really goes down. Definitely a vertical chute.